Hey, it's B.E.T from Tales for Gemini. This episode is with Joey Medina. Joey Medina is a comic. Actually, he was a boxer first, then became a comic, a stand-up comic, a great stand-up comic, one of the original Latin kings of comedy. And now he's an acclaimed movie director. His short film, Beautiful Violence, is just that. It's a beautiful film. It's 12 minutes long, and it's one of the most, it really hits you, tugs you in the heartstrings. It's a beautiful movie. If you get a chance, check it out. But I love the conversation. I've known Joey for over 25 years, and it was just two old friends talking life and career. And I hope you like this episode. I know I did. Check it out. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. B.E.T with Tales from a Gemini. Man, I am just stoked for this. I'm stoked for every episode. I love all my guests. To me, there's no, this guest is this guest. I mean, anybody who takes time to be with my annoying ass, I love anybody. So but I'm stoked for this guy because we go back, oh my gosh. Joey, do you remember when we first met?
Kind of, it was like 25 years ago.
Here it
30
is.
Years ago.
I'm a comic, and so I'm going to do my first TV spot. I'm going to be on B.E.T. Now, B.E.T. at the time had a competition, and what it is you go there, and it was hosted by D.C. Curry. He had a competition, so it was you and two other comics, and you got judged by Florence Henderson from the Jeffersons, the maid, and Ronaldo Ray, and it was somebody else. And so I was all hyped. My first TV spot ever. I was gonna be on B.E.T. I mean, we were filming, I think, in Inglewood. So I get there, I find out who's gonna be in my group. I go against a guy named Lester Berry. And there's this guy, and being from the Midwest, I thought, okay, he's Mexican. He's ended up being Puerto Rican. But anyway, in Midwest, you go, oh, he's Mexican. So I'm going against a guy named Joey Medina. And I just remember going, how you doing, man? He goes, how you doing? I go, and I don't know why we got to talking. He said he used to box, and I thought that was really kind of cool. But it wasn't really anything cocky. It was like any guy who knows he can kick your ass. It was just a matter-of-fact statement. Say, I can box. Okay, cool. He goes on, does a set. I do my set, and we both got beat by Lester Berry. And we've been buddies through defeat ever since. So my guest...
We both hate Lester Berry to this day.
So my guest today is the incomparable Joey Medina. This guy, Joey Medina, is one of the original Latin kings of comedy. He has a film out. We're going to get to this film later. He has a film out that is blowing up, not just here domestically, but internationally. I think it was selected by, I think it won the Swedish Film Festival. I mean, around the world. It's a great short film. We'll get to that later. But most importantly, man, before he was a comic starting out, he was a boxer who fought for the title. I mean, you can't tell that now. It looks like he ate that boxer because he's gaining a little weight, but that doesn't matter. Joey can still do his damn thing, man. So what's going on, Joey Medina?
You do, B.T, man. I love you, brother. I love you. Your energy's always been great, man. I'm doing good, thank goodness. Trying to stay busy during this crazy pandemic that we're going through. But other than that, man, I'm still doing the roads now. A little bit getting back on the road, and doing my passion, which is filmmaking.
First of all, where are you at? You in somebody's closet? Like,
no, that's a fake background right there.
I was like, man, are you with your girl? And are you in your closet? Are you sneak in some rich people's houses and they don't even know you're there? And
I'm at home. Like, this was just whatever was on last. So as soon as I logged on, it was on. So I'm like, I'll just leave it.
looks like Melvin Marcos's closet. That's what it looks like, man.
That's Russell Peters' closet right there. That's when you go to Russell Peters' closet, looks like a store. It looks like when you go in there, you're like, just like, okay, let's see. It's awesome.
Well, let me tell you something, man. What people don't realize, to be at the level, or just to be able to still do it, but be at the level that you are in comedy, I mean, they don't realize how difficult it is, and you've always been at the high level. I remember we met again. I moved from LA in 2006, and I missed those people. And this was before social media was really, really, really prevalent. And I just remember me and you were at the Laughlin Comedy Festival, and man, it was so good to see you. You were just, man, I mean, it was like, just, I couldn't describe to you how just great to see you it was, and you were doing well, and you were still like, you were just like me. You were a single man. You're enjoying your singleton, your single years, as I like to say it. And it was just great to see. And we both got beat. We got slaughtered by, it was Dale, what's his name? Oh, Do you remember? Do you remember that? We made the semifinal. We made the finals.
I thought it was a woman. It was a woman, an older woman.
No, Dale. I forget.
Dale Quinn.
No. Dale, whatever. He won it, but
yeah. I remember now.
He destroyed us. I remember going, okay, that's it. That's enough. He won, but we made it to the finals. I remember that. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, that's fun. And like the only reason, like I've only, I think, done one competition my whole life, and the only that one, and I just wanted to hang out with everybody. You know what I mean? Because comics, when we hang out, it's some of the best times, man. We make each other laugh in ways because sometimes we can't. You know, if we're with a group of, I want to call them civilians, right?
Right.
We can't talk about some of the things we want to talk about, or really, we can't be as funny as we normally could be. But when we're with other comedians, we can let loose and just get crazy.
Well, you know why? Because it's never that. Like if you talk to somebody regular, and we're talking how comics talk. You get that. It's like when you got two guys and that girl on a morning show, and the girl's always like, "Come on, guys," and that's what it's like when you talk to so-called civilians. But when comics get together, man, it's Katie barred the door, bro. I mean, it's everything is on, and it's always that stuff that makes us laugh that no one else laughs at, and that's why I love going. I love going to competition just for that alone. Nobody really cares who wins. But it still hurts. You know what I mean? Yeah. It still hurts.
Because some of those things, a lot of times in those competitions, I think the longest sets are like 10 minutes.
Oh, not even that long. Not even that long.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this. It's like people always say Muhammad Ali would never win a 3-round fight because that's not his style. You know, and somebody like, a real seasoned pro like yourself, myself, sometimes we need that time to loosen up. In 10 minutes, 5 minutes, we're just throwing stuff out there. You don't really see what we really have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it takes us time to warm up. And speaking of Muhammad Ali, which I was going to get to, you start out as a boxer, man. And I looked you up on the internet. Dude, you had some skills, man. I mean it from I watched I think your Arizona championship in Arizona. You were mopping this dude up all over the ring. I remember he came in and you hit him with an uppercut. I was like, look at Joey. Like
I was in that fight, I was 3-1 underdog.
Really?
Dude. Yeah.
Oh.
And his name was Chris Alvarado. And I gotta find him on Facebook, man. Say hi to him. He was a really good fighter. Like I really liked watching him, before I fought him. And then I just knew, man, this is my chance, and I just gotta take it. And I did. I knocked him down 6 times in the fight, and then they stopped the fight in the 11th round.
Wow. I remember watching it and I was like, what was the overall goal was it boxing first? I mean, I knew you grew up and you were young. Cause I looked at you, I go, this guy was kind of handsome and good looking. He had no glasses on. I mean, I was like, oh, who is this dude? I mean, you got mentioned in the same breath as Camacho, and Breland. Look at those were the good old days, man. So so the overall goal was at boxing?
Well, my overall goal was boxing, but realistically, when I look back, and especially lately, I've been looking back, filmmaking was my first goal. When I was in 5th grade, there was a teacher I had named Morris Charnow, who I stay in touch with to this day. He showed our class a Super 8 film he made with the class before.
Okay. And
it was basically like a Batman parody with kids, right? Like he would hold up. For the bat rope was a jump rope, and he just had it was no sound because it was Super 8. And I remember looking at that film, like with my jaw dropped and thinking, I want to make that. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to be Batman. I wanted to be the guy who made Batman. I remember thinking that. And I didn't know that was called director or filmmaker. I just knew I wanted to do that. So in 7th grade, 2 years later, my shop teacher sold me a stolen projector, a camera, and a screen. And it all said the Board of Education on it, right? And true story, for $50. And so I made a Godzilla, King Kong movie with my family. And it was and it was cool. And then that was it. Filmmaking went. After that, I started into boxing, so I forgot my filmmaking. But it was actually filmmaking was first.
But actually, you didn't because you did your own documentary.
Yeah.
On boxing. Because
Well, I did a document. That's true. I went right after high school. I wanted to go to film school, but it was too expensive.
right.
So I ended up going to television production school, which is actually I'm glad I went because I learned other skills that filmmakers don't know, like television. And during school, I made a documentary. I made a documentary about boxing. That was part of one of our projects was to make a documentary. So I decided to make about boxing, and so I made that was the first thing. I actually probably the second thing. The first thing was King Kong at 7 years old, but then the second thing was probably that documentary at 18 years old where I had a little mustache right here, all cool.
Yeah, man, little mustache. Yeah, I was like, this dude is handsome. And you put some Earth, Wind, and Fire and
Oh hell yeah,
Survivor.
man! That's my song. That's my song.
Dude, I was like, this dude, and honestly, that mean everything starts when you're small. And it's funny you say that because I feel the same way. I think it came from me though when I was in junior college and I was doing these little videos. And I'm like, I like this, you know what I mean? But I like to be in front and behind. I never was a technical guy. I just knew what I liked and what it looked like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's basically being a director, man. It's like, you don't have to know everything. It's good to know all the technical stuff, or at least a little bit about it, because then you can request certain things. You can say, well, I want a light behind him right here. I want this lit up over here. You know what I mean? If the cinematographer doesn't catch it. So it's always important to know a little bit, even the editing, because I hate editing. I know how to edit, but I hate editing. But I can sit with an editor for 20 hours. It don't bother me at all, because all I'm doing is directing, after the fact. That's the way I feel like. So it's like, when in editing, you want to know, like, look, that's a bad shot, or, the guy, like, for instance, on this last film I did, there was a couple of shots where, they hand each other wallets. And at one point, like, the wallet's in the wrong hand. So we had to, I knew how to already fix it. I'm like, look, just flip the image around. And then on another shot, he was holding the picture, not the wallet. I'm like, well, let's just crop that. And these are all my suggestions. And because I know these are things you can do during editing and to fix problems, at the end.
So where did comedy come in? How did it go from, you love film, you're into boxing, but where did comedy come in?
Comedy came in because I always loved comedy, right? So, like, I had a really good friend of mine. I was 12 years old. I met him. He was a jazz musician. His name was Dave Valentine. Like, he's a world-renowned flutist, and he was my next door neighbor. So I would always go to his house. I would hang out at his house all the time, right? And he would put on Red Fox albums, Cheech and Chong, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, all the greats. And I would listen to comedy, and then we'd watch Saturday Night Live together in his house. And he had a great sense of humor, and he was a grown up already. And I was a kid, and I was just like learning from him. And then I just remembered, I just loved I love funniness.
Yes.
And then, so fast forward, right before comedy, I was actually, I always loved comedy. I would watch it. But to me, it was like people who love sports. Like, they know everything about sports. They love sports. They know all the players, but they don't play sports.
Yeah.
So it was like that. I love comedy. I knew everything about comedy, but I couldn't play. I was too shy, right? I think I was too shy. So one day they opened up, I was living in Tucson, Arizona, where I had my boxing career. And then they opened up a real comedy club called Laughs Comedy Club. It wasn't a comedy night at a bar. It was a club.
Yes.
And, with a brick wall, like you would see on television. And I remember going there, looking at the wall, going, oh my God, and the microphone going, this is a real stage. Like, oh my God. So I remember asking, for the service to sit me in the back, because I'm like, I don't want to sit in the front. They always make fun of you in the front. I don't want to sit in the front.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know, in the back. But I kept on going, man. I kept on going. And then at one point I was homeless. I was living in my car. My life went to shit. And it was, I went to the comedy club to cheer myself up, right? Because they knew me, because I was always going there. So I got in free. And I remember watching a comic on stage, how he's making everybody feel, and I was laughing, and I was feeling better. And I told myself, I go, wait a second, I have nothing to lose. I have no family here. I got no job, no home. I literally can start my life all over again. I remember telling myself that. And I was looking at the comedian and go, I'm going to do that. I'm going to become him. I'm going to become a comedian. And that was it. I put all my eggs in that basket, man. And I didn't turn back.
Do you remember who the comic was?
Ooh, I wish I did. I don't remember. I don't remember. I remember he's a black comic. That was it. Could have been you. Who knows? But uh,
Man,
but I,
I'm not
but I
that
do
old,
remember.
man.
But I do remember that moment where I knew my life was going to change. I had a goal. Like I'm gonna, like I was throwing in my mind. I'm going. I think I'm gonna go to school and try to become a lawyer. Like I was trying to throw all these other things in my mind, and then but then I love the feeling of the way that comedian made the crowd feel and the way he was feeling, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna do that because you know how it is, man. When we go up on the stage and we have a great set and people love it and laugh, it's like you can't beat that. It's a drug, man. I'm addicted to it. It's a drug.
Yeah, man. Okay, so you did that. Okay, so what happened though? How did you get to that point? But where did boxing kind of go wrong? Did you get knocked the fuck out and you were like, all right, I'm done with this shit? And then some manager took your money? I mean, how did you end at that point?
No, I didn't get, I fought for the NABF title and I lost. I got robbed, man. I got totally robbed.
Yeah.
But right after that, I guess just my heart kind of just went out. Like it just I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and because in boxing, man, you got to want to do it every day.
Yes.
It has to be if you don't want to, then don't do it because it's dangerous, right?
Oh yeah.
It was just something I wanted. I was done. Like it was just, all right, I'm done. I love it. I still love boxing. Greatest sport ever. I still watch it, love it. But it was just, I didn't want to do it anymore. And then that was it. And then, you know, once I fell in love with comedy where I wanted to do it, all my attention went there. That was it. It was just all I thought about. It became my new love. Like, you know, you broke up with somebody and then you found somebody else and that was it. Like,
so there was your rebound. So comedy was your rebound.
It's my rebound, and it was It was a good decision.
And you've been with her ever since. You've been with her ever since.
That's right. That's my girl.
And it's opened up other doors for you also because you also became a leader in comedy because you wanted the original Latin kings of comedy.
Yeah, and that was awesome, man. And I knew when that happened, my life was going to change. Because when it was happening,
like how did you know? How did you know? And how did that come about?
Just because I knew that. The way the whole thing came about was, you know, the original Kings of Comedy, you know, with Cedric and all the other guys came out, right? And then during that time, I was opening for Paul Rodriguez all the time, and Paul was doing great. And then they decided to do a tour with George Lopez and Carlos Mencia, and then Alex Raimundo and I were kind of opening. Mm-hmm. And then they were thinking about doing something like the Latin Kings of Comedy. Right. But the thing is, the Latin Kings of Comedy was actually the title Kings of Comedy is owned by Walter Latham. Right. He owns the title and Paramount Pictures made the movie. So you just can't you can't call it that. It has to be given to you. Right. So we decided to shoot something in El Paso, Texas. Yes. My town. And it was beautiful set. Like the set was like gorgeous. It was like $1 million to make that set. We were there for a whole week shooting. Paramount Pictures, Walter Latham came to see if they liked it. And the show was great. We shot 4 shows and they loved it. And they were like, yep, okay, it's going to be the Latin Kings of Comedy. Paramount picked it up. That means now it's a movie. Wow. So it never went to, it didn't go to TV first. It went to theaters first. We were movie theaters first. Wow. What was that experience like to see yourself on the screen, bro? Amazing, dude. Our premiere was at the Man's Chinese Theater. So to watch it, it was the first time I ever sat in the back of the audience watching the audience watch me. And that was weird. That felt weird. It was great because they laughed at all the right places. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like what I do now when I make a movie. I watch, if it's funny, I want them to laugh at the right places. But this was the first time it was ever stand up. So it was really good. There was a good focus group. And then it played it was limited cities, I guess, but it played pretty much throughout the country. It played in New York or played in all the big cities. And it was funny because anytime I would do a show anywhere, right after the show, I would catch the last showing of the film, you know, and I would see people watch me again. And then, then they would see me afterwards and go, hey, that was you. I'm like, yeah, that was me. How many girls did you coerce after that? Oh, Lord. Back in the day. Was it a good run? It was a good run. It was a good run. But now that's all over.
Why is
But,
it? Are you married now? Are you married now?
well, I'm married. Me and my girlfriend been together like 15 years.
Oh my God. Good for you, man. I mean that. Good
Yeah,
for you. I'm happy for you.
we fart in front of each other now. It's all, it's all good.
Man, you know what? I tell somebody if it gets to that point, no. I mean, I can only be so close with somebody, and if it gets to that point, it's over. I mean, I tell them that. I said if they ever do that, it's done. I mean, you better hold that into your stomach, look like Elvis in the '70s, and because once it in front of me on purpose. Now, if you happen to sneeze and okay, I get it, but if you do it on purpose, like pull my finger, and then it's like it's done. You pack your bags, you're out of here.
But you know what? We have a dog, so luckily we both blame her all the time. Like, Roxy, stop fighting, Roxy.
Man, that's great, man. So you're doing comedy, and with it from your career, like I said, there's a point when I left, and it's weird because that's the power of LA. I felt like a year or two after I left, I didn't recognize anybody. And then once social media came and I see all these comics in LA, I'm like, I don't know any of these guys. And that's why it's so great now to see you and still, like I said, at a high level and still doing the damn thing. And did you reach a point to where, I think everybody's career kind of stalemates for a little bit, where you go, or you're banging your head against the wall. Did you experience that?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I think I would assume we all do. And it happens, especially the longer you're in, right? So it happens and then goes away, comes back. I've had ups and downs. I've had really good ups.
Yeah.
And I've had really, low downs. And the beautiful thing though about comedians, unlike an athlete, is the older we get, the better we get.
Yes, more seasoned.
I think I think I'm probably it's funnier now than I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah.
I think I can handle almost any crowd. Because I've been through every crowd. I think I can, I've toured around the world. I've performed. I'm the first American to headline Vietnam.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I'm not talking about even the military. We're not talking about military. That's Bob Hope stuff, right? I headlined Vietnam, and first American. I didn't know that until I got there. But so in the beginning of my career, I could never do that. I think I'm like, oh, I could never do that, because you don't know how to manipulate the audience. You don't know how to work the audience. You don't know how to use your timing. And then the longer like guys like you and I who've been doing it forever, we pretty much. We're gonna do all right no matter where we are, right? And if we don't, it's okay, and we move on.
Man, that is so true. Honestly, it's like it's weird, but I can take an L and be like, one of the things. I shouldn't have done the family period of this show. Whatever. The new joke works, so blah, and you move on. And I think, and it's weird because. Unlike you, I was always an athlete wannabe. Like I never got to that level you got, but I kind of like try to approach it as an athlete when I do comedy. I try to approach it like an athlete, like come in, hit them hard in the beginning, keep it going in the middle, keep them engaged, and then finish up strong with a flurry. Boom, good night, peace. And if I take an L, like I said, take an L, it's cool. I'll come back and get them again, and maybe it makes me be more focused. Come back, go over the jokes again, like bam, I'm gonna get them next time, and then you're more focused. Do you approach that like an athlete as your comedy?
Absolutely. Like for instance, it's like watching the audience. I mean, sorry, watching the comedian in front of me is like watching my opponent before I fight him, because I get to see what the audience is like. Yeah. I get to see, okay, the audience is not laughing at dirty stuff, or the audience is being a little tight, or the audience, they only go up to number 5. They don't go up to number 10.
Right.
I could decide all that. And then I also, when I'm on stage, I just like in boxing, I always knew by the first punch how I'm gonna do.
Really?
If I hit the guy and I know he felt it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it right. If I hit the guy and he just looks at me, I'm like, okay, I gotta work, right? So it's like and it's like that's like in comedy, right? You they're not laughing right away. You're like, okay, I gotta work. But the beautiful thing about comedy is just like in boxing that I learned is that I change momentum. I'm like, sometimes I know, okay, I need to change my momentum. It's okay if I just stop. It's okay if I speed up right now. It's okay if I slow down right now. Whatever I need to do to change this momentum to get in that vibe. It's like double dutch, right? It's like double dutch. It's like we're playing an emotional game of double dutch, and we just got to get in that sync with the audience. Right. And once we're in sync with the audience, we got it. And if we're not, it's gonna be a long night, man. And especially when you're closing, you're doing 45 minutes, and it's hard for 45 minutes. That's the longest 45 minutes ever. And you don't have no trainer to throw in the towel, man, and go, okay, all right. Okay. You can get off now.
Okay, which is worse, taking ass whooping in boxing or watching the guy on the come up, that feature act on the come up, that you go, who the fuck is this? Why is he featuring? And he's destroying. And then it's like, and now Joey Medina. Which is the worst?
No, probably, I don't know. I'll be honest. I love watching a feature kill because I know psychology. So like my thing is this: if the feature killed, I'm gonna at least kill for 5 minutes. Because the audience is already happy. Yeah. They're laughing.
Yeah.
So all I need to do is convince them. It's like do a flim flam. It's kind of like, okay, watch over here now, watch over here now, watch over here now. So in 5 minutes, they forgot who they saw 5 minutes ago. Yeah. Now they're laughing with me.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm dying, if I don't get them to laugh in those 5 minutes, they're going to remember for 45 minutes who was on there. But I don't think it's that hard. I think it's okay because I followed one time. I was at the Ice House and I followed Darren Carter, and Darren Carter got a standing O. Oh. And I love Darren. Darren's my boy, right?
You can't help but love Darren. Yeah.
And he got a standing O, and I'm like, at first I was nervous, right? And I'm like, watch me get it. And all I did was patronize Darren. I'm like, yeah, I did jokes about Darren and like this, but not bad jokes, but like kind of like buddy jokes. And then that's the first time I ever. This is actually I think when I learned that trick, and it worked, and I killed. I didn't get a standing O. Yeah, but I still killed, so I was happy.
I want to talk. What I want to talk about was like you just said earlier in boxing when you hit the dude and you go, "Oh, this is gonna be a long night." Like, what match in particular just reminds you of that? Like, you throw like your best puncher, you go, "Okay, bam," and he just go, and you can just tell instead of like that little laugh where you hurt them, or that look in their eye where they have like that poker hand face, like, and you hit them with everything you got, and there's nothing. And when do you go, shit?
Well, the one really was the opposite, where a guy hit me on my shoulder in the first round, on my left shoulder. He hit me with a right hand, and it hurt, like my arm hurt. And I remember thinking, oh shit, I got to keep my hands up, man, because if this guy hits me, it's gonna hurt, man. So it was the opposite. Like I'm like, I started doing this the whole time, man. I was like,
I love it, man, because I remember I looking through your stuff and I thought it was funny how you stay engaged in boxing, because on one of your things you were talking to Canelo and you go, why don't you be a man and fight Triple G? And I was like, holy shit, you called him out like that? You go, why don't you be a man and fight Triple G? I like, did Canelo ever like find you and call you out? I'm like, hey, Mr. Funny Man, come here for a second. Did you ever meet him?
No, I hide all the time. I'm like, no, man, can't find me.
Man, I love it, man. I love it. Okay, so take me to, and I'm going to take the audience to this. Now, don't get me wrong, Joey's my boy, whatever, but you listen to LA, and he's doing his own thing, I'm doing my own thing. I'm here in the Midwest, whatever, and out of nowhere, I get this text. Now, I've been hacked plenty of times, so I'm thinking, and if it had a link, I'm like, somebody's fucking with me. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, somebody's fucking with me, but I go, I'm going to click it. And it's Joey's movie, and I'm not saying this because you're here. I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just saying, as a matter of factly, the opening shot of his movie, Beautiful Violence, is so spectacular and shot so beautifully that I honestly, if you didn't know, I would say I thought I was in a movie theater watching like a movie where, I don't know about you, I think the first 3 or 4 minutes to me, when a movie comes on, where there's shots that are so, you go, oh, this is going to be a great movie. You know what I mean? Where you go, oh, this shit right here is going to be, and your shot in the opening shot, and it's through a, what do you call those little things? The
drone?
Yeah, drone shot. It was I mean, my jaw literally dropped, and I go, "This is gonna be the shit right here."
I have a funny story about that shot.
What happened?
What I was doing was I was looking for a similar shot like that to open up the movie. This was after I shot it already. Mm-hmm. So I was looking for stock footage. Mm-hmm. I was looking for drone stock footage. So I found that shot, and I looked. It was like $200. I'm like, I'm not going to pay $200. I'm thinking, wait, that's L.A. Let me try to figure out where they shot that from. So I did Google Earth, and I figured out where they made that shot from. So I brought my drone there, and I shot it myself. Nice. And actually, mine looks better than the stock footage shot.
Let me tell you something, man. That movie, and I encourage the audience, if you get a chance, where can the audience watch this movie, by the way? Or can they? Because I know sometimes when a movie's up for awards like that, you can't really go and watch it. Like, can they?
Yeah, it's right now. If you're in the LA area, go to Pasadena on the 13th on Monday. Next Monday, this coming Monday at 6:00. Okay, it's gonna be playing there with a block of other short films. It's like 88 minutes. So your day will be like like a whole movie. It's like 88 minutes from 6:00 to right. 88 minutes after, and you'll see a bunch of really good movies, little short films. So if you got a short attention span, it's perfect. Mine is right in the middle, so you can check that out. And it's if you go to the Pasadena, if you go to the Pasadena International Film Festival's website, mm-hmm. you can see it. And it's at the movie theater in Pasadena, the Lamley 7. Yeah, and then hopefully maybe in a few months I'll release it everywhere just so people can see it online.
So could you tell the people what this movie's about? Because honestly, and like I said, not because you're here, man, it really hits hard. And it's one of those movies that's like, it hits the social times now, and it resonates. What was the thought process behind it? And tell the people what it's about.
Okay. Well, actually, I wasn't even going to make that movie. I was making another one. And then about a transgender drag queen. Then the pandemic hit, and I couldn't make it because there was just too many people, too many actors, it was too big of a project, so I couldn't do it. Okay. So I decided I want to do something where I could just shoot it with like 1 or 2 actors and one location. And then I remembered something that happened to me many, many, many years ago. I was going through a real dark time, and I wasn't thinking about committing suicide, but I was thinking about suicide. And I was thinking, yeah, this is like one of the times people would commit suicide. I was just thinking a lot about suicide. I don't think I was going to do it, right. but I was window shopping, right?
Yeah. And, yeah.
But I remember thinking I have life insurance at the time. I remember thinking if I kill myself, my family won't get the life insurance. I remember thinking that.
Wow.
And then I end up one day getting gas at I don't know where I was, man. I was like in Compton or somewhere. I was East LA. I was somewhere bad, right? Yeah. And I'm looking around, and I saw like these gang members or drug dealers there. And I remember looking there and go, I bet you if I went up to them and said something or just punched one of them or did something, they would kill me, and then my family would get the life insurance. Right. I remember thinking that. Wow. But then I started thinking, but what if they don't got a gun? What's going to happen? Like, I was having all these scenarios in my head. Right. And then, I finished pumping gas. I'm like, never mind. I got back in my car and I left, and that was it. And that was it for that. And then, things got better, and thank God I forgot all about. But for some weird reason during the pandemic, that thought came in my mind again. Yeah. And I decided to write that as the script for this film. So this film is not exactly that. It's something different. It's about it's a white man who finds out he's terminally ill, and he's going to die soon. And but he has his insurance, if he dies in a homicide, pays double. So he decides not to tell his family or anything. He just decides to hire somebody to kill him. When he meets the person doesn't show up. So he's just desperate. He's driving around, LA, driving downtown, driving everywhere. I guess he's just trying to get ideas, trying to figure out what to do, and then he drives by an alley and sees a drug deal going by. And that's when he gets the idea that he's gonna, call the guy the N-word, the drug dealer, the N-word, and have the drug dealer shoot him. But at the time, the drug dealer didn't have a gun. And so the drug dealer just beats the shit out of him. But then, the drug dealer breaks his hand. They both sit down and actually get to know each other. And then you realize the white guy isn't even racist. His family is black. His wife is black. His children are black. And you realize the drug dealer, has got a disabled child that he's trying to support, and he's doing all this. And you find out that they're both human beings doing whatever it takes for their family. And they come from, the opposite ends of the, society, but they're doing whatever it takes for their families. And there's no bad guys and no good guys in this. It's just a story.
I honestly, man, it really just touched me, and it was so fucking beautiful. Because in the beginning, before I knew it, and he's saying, I go, what the fuck? I was like, what? I was like, yeah, beat his ass, Eric. I was like, and then, man, when they sat and talked, and I tell people now, I'm a cheesy dude and corny and all that, but it's so true. When you get somebody one-on-one and you get, the yelling and everything stopped, and you look somebody in the eye, or you get that one-on-one conversation and you break down that shit, man, we're all just human beings. I mean, yeah, we got the color, but in the end, after everything's stripped away, you're human beings, and human beings have the same basic need. That's love, protection, and just that's why it's so fucking beautiful. And when I saw those awards for that movie, I was like, yeah, this is deserving. I mean, I don't know what the other movies are, whatever. And I just love filmmaking also. Yeah, and it just really, man, it hit me hard. And I was so grateful that you sent it to me.
Thank you, brother. And that means a lot to me, man, because my thing is this, I love making stuff that, even though I'm a comedian, I love making dramas. I mean, I do comedy too, but I love making dramas, right? And I love films that make people feel something.
Yes.
And people, a couple of people have told me they've cried, a couple of people, and it's funny, so far I've won 2 Best Actor awards, right? The film has won 2 Best Actor awards, and the actor who won was Eric Blake, who's a comedian.
He's a comedian. He's a very funny guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually, I think, if not his first, it's one of his first roles. And I didn't even want Eric for the part because I wanted a larger person. I wanted Craig Robinson was considering to do the part. I wanted a really big black guy to be, and I wanted a really small white guy.
Yeah.
So Bill Dawes, who plays Chad, the white guy, right, who's also a comedian. Yeah. They both did an amazing job.
They did. Incredible. Both of those guys. Shout out to both those guys.
But the funny thing is, both of them weren't my first choice, right? And only because of their size.
Right.
Bill is a buff dude. Like,
right.
We had to get Bill. Had to get Bill, like really a baggy, jacket, really baggy clothes, because I wanted him to look smaller. He's really fit and in shape. I didn't want that size body, but because of the pandemic and because of everything, but they, I'm like, oh, okay, I was like, what I'm gonna do, because I couldn't do no live auditions.
Right.
And,
wow. Okay. Yeah.
But they both nailed it, man. They both nailed it. They both did a really great job, and they deserved the part. They both did deserve the part. And look at it. You saw it. They did great. I mean, Bill killed it. Eric killed it. Eric, one of the things I was worrying about Eric was, while I was shooting, was I didn't want it to be too melodramatic. And while I was editing it, I was seeing a little bit of it being a little melodramatic. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, it also feels real to me, though, because Eric has gone through stuff. Eric had stuff happen to his son. Eric was involved, and I'm not saying anything that's private. He said this on other podcasts. He was dealing drugs. So Eric actually lived this. And when I was watching him perform, I was into it. I was believing it. And I was kind of rewriting the editing in my mind because I wanted him just to keep going. And it turned out perfect. I'm like, I have no complaints. I'm very happy. Like he both killed it. And there was another editor. There's a scene where he talks about his son and he starts, kind of crying. And people like another editor once said, "Oh, you should cut that out. That's too." I'm like, "No, man." I go, "That's it. That's the nitty gritty. That's where everybody's gonna love." And I was right. And he won, and everything. When he won those 2 awards, I told him, I said, "That's the scene, or that's the that's the shot."
Yeah.
When you talk about your son, that why you won, because everybody feels it.
Yeah, man. I mean, you break the toughest guy. I just remember watching the HBO documentary over the Iceman, the hitman for the mob. And this guy killed people, didn't know anything. But man, when he talked about his kids, he would tear up. I mean, the guy, I don't know how many people he's executed, killed, whatever, but talked about his kids, and that's what made him cry. The grown man cry. And it is, man, it's about the kids, man, the fucking kids. And the only drawback I think to that movie, that for me personally, is that you never even contacted me, because I am like Denzel Jr. I would have bought something to that role. I mean, anyway, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, but I
think you're too articulate, man. I don't think you would.
Whatever. You know what? When you have a dude, whenever like, okay, put it this way. Whenever somebody like when Wayne Brady goes on a killing spree, I want to be the guy to play him in the movie, the made-for-TV movie. Please let me do that. I want Billy Blanks to go on a killing spree. I want him to kill his family.
Yeah, Billy Blanks. No, but hey, you're a good actor too, man. I saw your short film that you did really well on, and you directed yourself, and I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks, man. I had to send it to her. I go, well, he sent me he sent me his, and he sent it. So it's weird because I know why I screwed up, but I had to do it for myself. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, and it's weird because I've always wanted to be in front of the camera. Like, I take acting classes twice a week. I ride my motorcycle down to Louisville, Kentucky, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours every Monday and Wednesday to stay on my game, because when I get the call, I want to be ready. I'm like that second string quarterback. I'm like Brady when he was behind Drew Bledsoe. When I get the call, I'm gonna be ready. So I'm taking acting classes twice a week, and I just remember like shooting that movie, and I'm liking behind the camera even more than in front. And then it was my time to do a scene. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. And I like the behind the scenes. I like kind of being that coach going, okay, how about give me a different look? Okay, give me a different kind of inflection. Okay, and trying to get what you want out of that actor. That's what I love more than I thought I would. I like directing more than I thought I would.
That's good. Good. Kids, yeah, directing is fun, man. It's really great. And I'm watching it, and I'm watching everything, and then like the producer in me is going, man, how did he get that restaurant? That's a great set. How did he get the restaurant set?
Hey man, you know what I did? What I did was I went to the Hilton Garden Inn airport location here in Indianapolis, and I said, hey, can I shoot? But I told them what I want to do. They go, yeah. So I went there late at night. It was on a Saturday night. It had to be about 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's this drunk guy that kept kind of getting in, and I was like, he's getting on my nerves, but luckily we ignored him to the point of, all right, they don't want to talk to me. And we had to shoot like this. And I loved every minute. I mean, we didn't finish that. We shot it in one day. We didn't finish till 6 in the morning, bro.
Well, yeah, good for you, man.
Shot it in one day.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I've shot at restaurants. I've shot at bars, and the bars you have to shoot in there when it's closed.
Yeah.
So it's 2 in the morning to 6 or 7 or whatever, and that sucks. But it's great, man. I love filmmaking. I don't know what it is, but it's like. Especially if you write something and now you're making it, you're taking something that was just an idea.
Yes.
Then you're taking those ideas, you're putting them in words in a structured setting, and now you're shooting it, and people are saying those words, you're recording it, you're editing it together, and now people can watch exactly what you thought. So it's like I tell people this, I go, imagine if you had a great dream. Now imagine you can show that dream to other people.
Yeah.
That's what making films is.
I love that. I never thought about it that way, but it's funny. I watched everything on film, but I've never heard it say that. I never heard it said that way. That's beautiful, man.
It's basically, you can show exactly what you had in your mind. That's my thing. It's like every filmmaker is different, but like in my mind is this. My goal is always to make it look like I see it in my head. If I can't make it look the way I see it in my head, I'm not happy. The color has to be the way I see it. The feeling has to be like there's a script that I wrote before this one, which is the one I was going to shoot, called Philly Delight. And there was a scene that I'm writing. As I'm writing, I'm crying. I'm literally crying. And I'm like, this is so sad. I'm crying. Because when I write, like, I don't write like me. I write like the character.
Yeah.
So the words are coming out like the characters coming out. So this sounds weird, but sometimes as I'm writing is the first time I hear it, or first time I think of it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's and I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. Like, and so there was a scene, and it was funny because at the time I was in my office, I was writing on a game show, and the other people in the office like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just writing this script. It's so sad, man. But I kept on going with it because I loved it. I'm like, oh, this scene is so touching. I love it. So I can't wait to shoot it because see, this is the thing. It's like I now when I wrote it, like I already know now when the person performs it, whoever it is, that's going to be the audition, by the way, that scene. But whoever performs it, I want to cry. I want to cry. If they don't perform it where I cry, they didn't do a good job. So I got to make sure that's what I got to feel what I felt when I wrote it.
Wow, man, that's beautiful. I mean that. I love that. I'm gonna talk to you off the air about some technical aspects because I mean, I don't want anybody to get bored. I mean, it wouldn't be boring to me, but the technical aspects of that, an idea I have. But when it comes to directors, who influences you?
A lot of people, like I'll be honest, just like comedians, a lot of comedians influence me because they're all so different and beautiful in themselves, right? Like in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And so directors are the same way. And I have a lot of, directors, Buster Keaton, if you want to go 100 years ago, right?
Wow, look at you in the history. Look at you.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
Let's see, Orson Welles. There's so many that have done something that was so beautiful. And I love directors that don't have a specific style.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like directors that can direct all kinds of things. You're like, oh wow, he did that movie. He did that. Like, to me, it's like the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones don't have a specific style. Like if you hear, oh no, Rolling Stones do. Led Zeppelin doesn't. Like Led Zeppelin, a lot of times I'll hear a song, I'm like, oh, that's Led Zeppelin. Like their style is different. It's always different, I think. So I like directors that you're like, oh, he did that movie. So for instance, there's some directors that could only do comedy. There's some directors that could only make dramas or horror films. I like directors that, and I like those directors too. Like they're really great.
Right.
Like Quentin Tarantino is really great. Rob Zombie is really great.
Yes.
But they're very stylized. They got a specific style, right? But I want to be kind of a director that I can do anything. I can do a sitcom. I can do a news segment. I can do a drama. I can do a comedy. I can do a horror film. And those are the kind of directors I aspire to be.
I will take exception to that. No offense, when I hear Led Zeppelin, I go, yeah, I can see him doing that. Except for when they did, I love you so. It's kind of reggae-ish off their last album, Coda. It's kind of reggae-ish, and I go, that's Led Zeppelin.
You don't think like, see, to me, Rolling Stones song sounds like a Rolling Stones song.
Oh, the group that you go, wow, I didn't expect that. Is U2. U2 changes their shit so much now that you go, that's U2? I mean, because you take, before Rattle and Hum, I mean, when they came out with Joshua Tree, which was incredible, okay? And then Rattle and Hum was a little bit Joshua Tree-ish, but yet and still it was different. Angel of Harlem and they brought in B.B. King. And then they came in with that Lemon. And then they had that with Zoo Nation, and that was a different sound. So to me, U2 always recreated itself.
And this B.T. is why I didn't ask you to play the black guy.
That is so true. That is so true. Sometimes I'll be hanging around brothers and I'm thinking I'm all cool and shit, and then that part of me comes out like, no, guys, listen, I'm telling you, AC/DC's fourth album was a lot different than their fifth album because Angus Young hit, and they go, what? The fuck are you talking about, man? Oh, nothing. Anyway, like I was saying, man, that Parliament, I never. The real me always eventually comes out, man. I'm a fucking rocker, bro. I mean, I love it all, but yeah, when it comes to music, it's rock and roll for me. I love it all, but yeah, man, you give me rock and roll, I can take you. That's why when you said that, I go, no, I kind of disagree, except for that one song by Led Zeppelin. I think they kind of sound the same, but it's U2, and the difference is because, yeah, so yeah, I get you on that one, man. You broke it down perfectly. Okay. If you had to pick, and this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. If you had to pick top 5 movies that affected you, not the bullshit people always say, what you think I want to hear, whatever. The top 5 movies that affected you that you went, this fucking flick right here. Damn. Which would it be? In no particular order, but the top 5 movies that you go, holy shit, this is a fucking movie.
Okay. Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky was beautiful. It's the most beautiful movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I would watch it a million times. It just, I even saying the word Rocky makes me feel something right now.
Yeah.
The Exorcist.
Yeah. Now, what about The Exorcist? What about The Exorcist?
The Exorcist was beautifully made. It was, to me, people call it a horror film. I think it's its own genre. It's a scary drama. Like, I don't know. It's beautiful. Like, it was just beautifully, it scared the shit out of me when I was like 7 when I watched it, I guess. But it was beautifully made. It was just incredible. It still holds up to this very day. There's movies that wish they could be that good to this very day.
Yeah.
And it was a subject that nobody's done before.
Yes, yes. To do that at that time.
Exorcist is the Rocky of horror movies. Like, there's no boxing movie ever better than Rocky. Never. It'll never happen.
True.
That was the movie. And then Exorcist, there's no possession movie ever that's going to be close to The Exorcist.
True.
You would have to reinvent it. And everybody who's tried has fallen short.
Yes.
And so that's the reason, one of the reasons.
Okay.
And then there's so many films. And now, okay, let me try to. Pulp Fiction 2 is a beautiful film. I love Pulp Fiction. And let me try to pick films that nobody knows. There's a film called Ken Park. I think it's actually banned in the US. And it's from oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. Ken Park. Okay, but it's from the director who made Kids.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And that movie's a trip, man.
What's it about?
Ken Park is based. It's about all these kids that live. I think it's Fresno or Bakersfield, and they're skaters. But it's all based on this kid who committed suicide called Ken Park. That was his name, and it's just really gritty, and it's kind of weird, and it's hard to explain. It's like those movies, and he involves a lot of kids. He's kind of a weird dude because he involves a lot of kids and stuff in all his films. But
yeah, that'll do it.
I have it in my head, and I can't. It doesn't matter. But the movie was a great movie. As a filmmaker, like, it was very independent. I love movies like Bully. I love the movie Bully. Bully's a great film. I love independent feel films like that.
Yes.
I don't want to see. I enjoy, like. I like I can make a really polished film, but I like films that don't necessarily seem polished. I like where you can tell one of the actors they got from the mall. They found some kid at the mall or some person at the mall, and they go, yeah, I'm gonna put you in the scene, and you can see the realness of that person,
To me, it's like, it's that garage band feel. It's like the album before that makes a group famous. You know what I mean? It's like Bon Jovi with Slippery When Wet. Well, go back 2 albums before. That's when you really like them, when they're trying to find that sound. ZZ Top, before they had Legs and Sharp Dressed Man, give me the album 2 albums before. AC/DC, the 2 albums before Back in Black, when they were just jamming it, man, trying to find that sound and just going for it. That's what I like. That kind of like, it's not quite polished, but it just kicks ass, and it makes up for the inconsistencies.
That's great. That's actually an amazing. I'm going to use that analogy because that's actually a really good analogy. And you know who did that a lot too? Was like Spike Lee did that a lot. There's a movie he did, and he did it after he did like his first 2 films. I think this was his 3rd film. I forgot what it was called, but it looked like a college movie. It looked like he did a college movie. And I remember watching it going, is this like his first movie? And I'm like, no, it was like his 3rd. And I forgot what it was called, man.
School Days? Was it School Days?
No, it wasn't School Days.
She's Gotta Have It?
It's about this kid who's staying at his grandfather's house in Brooklyn or something like that.
Was it Crooklyn?
It might have been Crooklyn. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
But it was really independent. It looked like a college movie.
Yeah.
And I remember going, this is not, the production value is kind of crappy, but the story was good and it was compelling. And I kept on watching it, kept on watching it. And halfway through, I'm like, all right, I'm in, man. And it was just because it was really gritty, almost amateur filmmaking, but I believe it was on purpose because I loved it, and
Yeah.
I love Spike Lee anyway. He's amazing.
Yes.
The
Yes.
stuff he has on CNN now is dope as fuck, man.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so so it just depends, man. It's an art, right? What we do is an art. Sometimes as artists, right, as comedians, sometimes we'll, maybe there'll be a year where we break out a guitar, a prop.
No.
These kind
Not
of
me.
jokes.
No. Fuck that. If I gotta brag out a guitar, dude, it's gonna be my last day doing comedy and maybe on Earth. Like, hey, BT's got a guitar. Hear about BT? What happened? Oh man, he
You be
fucking
the Hootie and the Blowfish for comedy.
the dolphins make me cry.
But we all develop, right? We develop as artists, and sometimes we want to paint, sometimes we want to sculpt, sometimes when you did the film, it was you being an artist. When you get on stage, it's you being an artist. When you sit behind the mic and you do a podcast, it's still you being an artist. It's just a different branch from that tree, man. You know what I mean? And that's cool. And then sometimes the branches go this way and then they curve and you do start doing this way. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you'll start, doing something different. And it's like, like my filmmaking as well as my comedy has always evolved. And I like that. And I want it to evolve. I always want to be better. Like I see some like filmmakers in my level making films all the time. I can't do that. One, because I finance all my own crap, but two is because I really pay a lot of attention. I do a lot of pre-work. I do a lot of homework before I shoot something. A lot of homework. Like my regular life, I'm all over the place, right? I'm not organized. I don't pay attention. I'm everything's just everywhere. But so for some weird reason, when it comes to filmmaking, I'm so damn anal, bro. I write everything down. I do so much homework, and I have a track. And the funny thing is, I'm extremely flexible. So if all that went out the window, I'm still going to go, but I know my vision. I remember the blueprint, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because basically making a film is like making a house. It's the exact same process, no different. You make a blueprint. With that blueprint, you decide how to make this house. You're like, okay, I'm going to need this much wood. I'm going to need this much electricity. We're going to probably have to start with the foundation first. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And that's what the script is. The script is your
foundation.
Is the blueprint.
Yeah.
When you figure out how to make that script. And then sometimes when you go, look, I don't have enough money to make this house. So how about instead of 5 bedrooms, we do 4 bedrooms. So it's that kind of thing, right? So instead of, hey, look, we can't make a pool, but how about if we make a jacuzzi? Let's put the jacuzzi on the roof. What? Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. There's different things you can do. And that's kind of like what filmmaking is. And a good filmmaker is a good producer first, right? Because what you're doing is producing is just directing a movie before you direct it. That's what producing is. Editing is directing the movie after you shot it. So you direct a movie 3 times. You direct a movie, unless you're the writer, then it's 4 times. Mm-hmm. But if you're just directing, you're directing it when you're producing it, you're directing it when you're directing it, and you're directing it when you're editing it. And it's like raising a kid. You raise your kid when he's an infant. Then you raise your kid when they're a toddler. Then when you raise your kid when they're a preteen, then a teenager, then a man, and then then when he breaks up with his wife and moves back home, then you got to do it again. It's like there's all these. Yeah, it's true though, right? There's like you always, if you have a kid, you're always be raising a kid. But right now, I'm raising my movie through the film festivals. I'm going broke, submitting to all these film festivals. But
But you know what it boils down to, and you said it best, man, is that like, and don't get me wrong, I still like the blockbuster. I still love, from May through mid-July or August, that summer blockbuster, and getting that popcorn. For me, small popcorn, butter, layer it, icy, large icy, mix all the flavors, and sitting down and just watching the trailers. And all of a sudden, here comes the movie. I still love that, but when it all boils down to it, if it doesn't have a story that grabs you, then what the fuck are you doing? I mean, a perfect example is that Fast and Furious piece of shit, Part 9. Holy shit. I mean, how did that get... I mean, was there even a plot? I mean, seriously, I mean, you bring a character who we thought was dead 3 movies ago, and he just shows up, and they go, "Hey, what's going on?" And like he just went to the store to get some milk, and all of a sudden he walks in, and you think he's dead. And he go, "Hey, man, I thought you were," and they give him a hug. We're all good. What? I mean, you don't explain it, and it's like at the end of the day,
they don't care no more.
At the end of the day, it's about a great story. And before I get out of here, I want to tell you what I want you to do. You want to watch the best movie ever made. As a Korean movie called B.E.T Clawing at Straws.
Okay.
It's one of the greatest movies you ever see. That movie is one of the greatest movies you ever see. There's another movie called Beautiful starring Javier Bardem. It's the greatest movie ever made. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes long. And I'm not going to lie, there's a point in that movie where I go, I may have to tap out. And then it hits. And once it hits, dude. And I remember I was on a date, and I remember once the movie was over, credits are rolling, all you hear is men in the audience going,
oh, okay.
And the girl was like, "Are you crying?" No. I mean, every dude in that movie, and I lied to every man. I live in Indiana, man, where, everybody, yeah, I don't fucking cry for nothing. And everybody was crying. Beautiful with Javier Bardem is the greatest movie ever made. It really is.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out.
Watch that and watch B.E.T Clawing at Straws.
Yeah, but Korean movies they make great horror films too, man. Koreans.
They make great movies, period, man. I could talk to you movies all day. I could talk comedy all day. God damn, I knew this was gonna be this way. I knew I was gonna want more. We gotta go, but damn it, let's have a part 2, brother. Joey Medina, I love you, man, more than you'll ever know, bro. When you send me that,
same here, brother. Same here.
When you send me that text, if like I said, I thought it was, I thought somebody hacked me, and then I clicked on it and then I was like, oh my God. I mean, it's like trusting something, you go, ooh, and then it turns into beautiful, and that's what it was. If you get a chance, watch Beautiful Violence. I promise you, it's one of the greatest movies. It's a short, don't get me wrong.
Short film, yeah, it's 12 minutes long.
It's 12?
Yeah, 12 and a half.
12 and a half minutes long, and I swear it's one of the greatest 12 and a half minutes you will ever see. Beautiful Violence by Joey Medina, comic, former boxer. He's everything. He's if you ever get a chance to go see him do comedy, please do. Joey's great. Joey, man, thank you for being my guest today. I appreciate it more than you ever know.
Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it. I always see your podcast. I'm like, when is he ever going to ask me to be on it?
Shit, you could have just hit me up, man. We're like that, dude. You don't understand, man. I'm just hoping somebody says, "Hey, you want to come out to LA to do?" And I'll be at the front door like, I'm here. I mean, that's why I leave my 323 area code on my phone number, because mentally I'm still in LA. I've never.
I promise, but I promise you, dude. I'm gonna put you in a film.
Do that. Watch. I will fly myself out there. I will put myself up. I will do everything. I'll fly myself out there, put myself up. All you gotta do is, I don't know, buy me a water. Give me a bottle of water and a bottle of Evian, and I'm good, bro.
Do that.
Dude, Joey Medina, folks, look him up. Joey Medina comic, comic or comedian on Instagram?
Joey Medina comic.
Joey Medina comic on Instagram. If you get a chance, folks, I promise you it's worth it. Beautiful Violence at all the film festivals. Get a chance, check it out. Joey Medina, thank you for joining me on Tales from a Gemini. Thank you guys for watching. And like we say about this time, you know the word, peace.